It's the 29th of July 2022, and my first upload in a few days, has to do with exacerbation of offences that I'm experiencing in my hometown and in my home country, Ireland. First and foremost, there's quite a lot that I want to mention in this upload, but first and foremost, the issue of living conditions has been poor, as I've been explaining throughout this documentary. My hierarchy of needs have been disrespected. My property in Ardfert in Kilflynn has been trespassed upon, and there has been nothing done about it, due to individuals that are procuring and accessing property illegally. Now, the other aspect of this is that there is legislation that my humanitarian work gave birth to, that is namely COVID, and that originated as a consequence of hate crime and the wrongdoings that I experienced as a mother between 2017 and 2018. So my purpose gave birth to COVID, which affected worldwide legislation. And there are individuals of creative intellectual theft from my purpose and claiming inauthentically ownership of the legislation revolving around COVID. These people have been imposing and offending and causing wrongdoings, and they have their collective team that have imposed upon my purpose as a sacred royal, and that has been experiencing the offences that I've experienced, and that disrespects the change that my humanitarian endeavour, as I address it, in 2018 gave birth to. Now, that legislation affected worldwide legislation, and I'm experiencing human rights violations in my hometown. Now, my living standards are very poor, and as I've mentioned, the state only gives me €208 a week, and my properties are being exploited without my consent. So there's creative intellectual property theft occurring. My child is from me illegally, and mental health services have been stalking me, and I'm a fellowship recovery advocate of sanity and sobriety. Now, the other aspect of this morning is that there are repeat offenders in my proximity, and that they are of offences against the field of medicine, research development, and artificial intelligence is all very serious. From my perspective, artificial intelligence is for the objective of truth finding, not for stalking, not for false reporting, not for defamation, not for illegal access of information, not for disinformation. Artificial intelligence is for truth finding. Now, the individuals of repeat offences that have been within my proximity this morning have illegally, by unstandardised means, accessed my sacred light for their developments. They've procured information and perverted people's privacy, not just my privacy. They've disrespected wildlife and fauna and nature and the environment. That's just one aspect. Now, I've experienced medical negligence and mental health services stalking to accommodate individuals that are of offences against not just the state, but the church. I'm a married mother. My husband is Richard McElligott, the legal father and guardian of our only child, Garrod McElligott, unlawfully from our care since January 2017. Now, there are pawns in this arrangement of offences that offend not just the family unit, but the faith of our family. And these pawns have, by hook and by crook, attempted to monopolise and occupy property and to exploit from property and a matrimony, my marriage of the 30th of the 3rd, 2015, to my only lawful legal husband, Richard McElligott, a missing person, and my child illegally from my care. These people have intruded upon a matrimony, and they've disrespected the faith and the church of that matrimony. So this is with the objective of land acquisition of our farms, my ancestral property in Ardfert and Kilflynn. Now, that there are people illegally on my farms is a very serious issue, and that these people have been a part of the agenda to illegally withhold a child from me that I gave birth to, that has experienced a disruption in his upbringing. And that's pushing it mildly. It's common knowledge that they have withheld a child, an innocent child, from his mother's care is another more serious, dangerous issue that these liabilities have been causing. So the medical negligence is the next point that I'm getting onto. The artificial intelligence issue that has been developed from damages that are of spiritual violence, that are of bodily integrity violations, that are of financial exploitation. NEFIT is fully aware of these circumstances as well. NEFIT is aware of the circumstances. Now, there are people trying to rewrite this script, and there's pawns on the stage, there's characters and actors, I'd say, that Shakespeare would admonish from civil society. And that these people this morning are in my proximity, persisting in exacerbating their offences they've been causing since 2006 is quite dangerous. The next point is not just psychoanalysis and mental health and psychology, but body language. People use their bodies to express themselves, and there are individuals threatening the peace that are already of quite serious problems in society that have imposed upon me and in my personal space. I'm recovering from very dangerous medical offences, and I like to sit by my window and just enjoy the scenery. That's my human right. So these people, they like to make dangerous assumptions, and they like to make uneducated opinions, and they like presenting disinformation, which is quite dangerous considering the serious nature of these circumstances. So they've disrespected nature, wildlife and fauna on my farms of my ancestors, and my faith and my church and my family and my marriage, etc., and my child's upbringing. And this morning, this is an issue. This is an issue this morning. Now, I don't have to explain myself to anybody. I'm not of common law. I'm not of common law. And there have been authorities that have been assisting offences against my good name and my good track record and the legislation that arose from my work, my purpose as a humanitarian. It's called COVID. And there is a team of liabilities, of liable, a huge debt that have claimed ownership of work that they aren't ethically, morally, or legally entitled to be claiming ownership of. And that has disrespected many fields, not just the fields of my farms, but the fields of medicine, science, research and development, and artificial intelligence. So this morning, this is an issue. And there are minds out there that don't have direct interaction, that don't have a communication process with me, but are in breach and that are perverting my privacy. And this, as my little signifier to remind myself of my beautiful child that is withheld from me illegally, is apparently signifying a distorted, disturbed interpretation of individuals that aren't qualified or educated in what they're saying. So this morning there's a dish, and there's an issue. There's a dish as well, a cold dish of retaliation and exacerbation going on. It's quite disgraceful. It's embarrassing for any professionals to be associated with it. It's quite unsafe. I've experienced spiritual violence in the individuals that are utilising soul fragments, that are carrying soul fragments of sacred royal, are being put at risk, unfortunately. And the liabilities that can't uphold their positions properly, that are of debt to my name personally, are exacerbating a very serious problem. So I hope the United